Hey guys, Matt Montanez here again with another plugins in-depth video, and today I'm going to show you the Waves SSL channel. In the Waves SSL channel bundle you get two different versions. You get your E channel, which is here on the left, and you also get your G channel, which is here on the right. And they have some subtle differences. They just sound different is the main thing. You can say that the E channel is used more on pop, hip hop, and R&B records, and the G channel has a little bit more mid-range sound, so it's used more on rock records. In these two versions, they have different EQs on their 4-band EQs. In the E channel, you got the 242 EQ. In the G channel, you got your 383 EQ, and that's pretty much what gives these different sounds. So I'm going to just go over the E channel for now because they work exactly the same except the subtle differences, which I will show you. In your channel here, you got your filters, you got your 4-band EQ, you got your compression, you got your gate expander, and then you also got your trim knob, your phase reversal button, your analog switch, and you also got your output, your main output volume. When you first open this plugin, you would automatically assume, at least I did, that you read this plugin from left to right. So it'll go through filters, EQ, dynamics, but it doesn't work that way. By default, the way this plugin works is it shoots through the dynamics first, then it goes through the filters and the EQ. If you would like to change that, for example, you want your EQ before your dynamics, you would click this channel out button here. And what that does is it puts your dynamics after the EQ. So now you're going EQ, dynamics, then your filters. But let's say you want your filters to start at the very beginning. Then you want to hit this split button here, which would move your filters before your EQ. So now you'll have filters, EQ, then your dynamic section. So in this filter section here, by default, they stay on off, which is labeled out on this plugin. And your high pass filter goes to 350 Hz, and your low pass filter goes to 3K. And those curves, the way those cues, those roll-offs are, they are actually set differently, which let me pull up a stock EQ and show you what they look like. So in the stock EQ here, if we're showing you the high pass filter, which is this knob here, it actually is set at 18 dBs per octave, so the curve looks like this. And in the low pass filter, which is this knob here, it is actually set to 12 dB per octave, so it's set like this. And that's something good to keep in mind in case you're feeling like it feels a little too aggressive or not aggressive enough, then you know that you can use a separate EQ to get what you're looking for. Then as we move forward, we're going down to this 4-band EQ section, and by default, this one starts off with a shelf, which looks like this. And then if you click the bell button, what it's doing is it's turning it this way, so it gives you a bell shape. In your high mid frequencies and your low mid frequencies, you just got to keep in mind the Q or the bandwidth is moving to the left is more narrow, moving to the right actually gives you a broader curve. In the stock EQ, it's the opposite. If you go left, it's a broader curve. If you go right, it's a more narrow peak. And that's just something to keep in mind. In your compression settings here, you got your ratio, you got your release, your attack time, and your threshold. Your release time, it goes to 10 milliseconds and it goes all the way to 4 seconds for the slowest release time. You got your attack button here, which if you go to fast attack, it's 1 millisecond. If you go to slow attack, it's called auto sensing in this plugin. And what it means is that it's program dependent. So it relies on the audio you put through it to set an attack time. And then you got your expander gate section here, which by default, it's set to an expander. You have to toggle the button here to actually have the gate active. So keep that in mind because I see a lot of people thinking they're using the gate by doing this, but they're actually using the expander. So you have to click it on to get the gate. When it's off, you're on the expander mode. Then here you got these bypass buttons, and in these bypass buttons, what they're doing is they're actually just bypassing the EQ on the channel. It's not giving you that flat frequency response like if I bypass the stock EQ and everything goes flat. It doesn't do that. It's actually giving you the flat frequency response of the way they modeled the EQ, so you're still getting that analog sound or the modeled sound of this plugin, which is really cool. Then you have this dynamic sidechain button, and what that does, it turns your EQ basically into a simple de-esser, so it affects the way where your compression settings are and your EQ settings. In the G channel, it's a little bit different, but it's pretty much the same as you can tell. But with these buttons here, the high mid frequencies x3 or multiply 3 and the low mid frequencies divided by 3 is if you look closely, you have your illustration, which goes here. And the way it works is if you set this to 1K and you enable this, then it divides that by 3 and then that will be your frequency setting. So here, if you set this to 3K, and you hit multiply by 3, then it's multiplying 3K by 3, so then it's giving you that setting, which is 9K, which is really cool because it gives you some versatility there to actually get your bandwidth to really move notches, not like here you just play with a shelf. Super cool stuff. I'm going to put this E channel onto this 2-track so you can hear how it sounds, what it's doing to this track, and you're going to hear that it actually livens it up. It'll make a little more width and it'll bring it to life a little bit. I'm going to bypass the G channel for now and just work with this E channel. Let me close out this doc EQ. And you can hear it when I bypass the plugin, you hear it kind of just drops down a little bit, like it falls slightly apart, I would say. And that's really cool to keep in mind. Like something as simple as this, as a small compressor on a 2-track really does that. That's super cool. But I should add though is you don't see a makeup gain here because it has auto makeup gain. Watch, I'm going to do it again so you can check it out. And it really livens up. That's so cool. Let's mess with the EQ a little bit and let's see if we can beef this track up a little more. And what I'm doing here with the output fader is I'm just level matching it. So when I bypass, then it'll be the same level, but you'll still hear the changes that the EQ and the compression is actually doing to this 2-track. Really brings this track a little bit to life, a little bit more to life, I should say. It sounds super good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy these settings and put them over to the G channel so you can hear the difference on this 2-track. Copy settings, G channel, paste. And I'm gonna toggle them back and forth, the bypass. What a difference, right? And it's the same exact settings as you can tell. Look at the compressor, 2.8, 2.8, 2.2, 2.2. All the settings are exactly the same. I'm going to do that again for you. As you can hear, this G channel really does boost that mid-range quite a bit. So let's try this vocal now. Let's see what we can get with this vocal. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start with the E channel, and then I will toggle back and forth with the G channel.
They sitting in a box, but I'm outstanding. I'm outlandish, losing patience with these rappers. I'm facing malpractice, smoking niggas cause they all faggots. Don't get offended, just pretend that we're in Britain. Then you'll understand it. Oh, on another planet. Floating, I soar above a canyon with no prior training, while them cats remaining underhanded. I'm through with the whackness, I'm doing them damage, coming straight out of low cash. But they sitting in a box while I'm outstanding. I'm outlandish, losing patience with these rappers. I'm facing malpractice, smoking niggas cause they all faggots. Don't get offended, just pretend that we're in Britain, then you'll understand it on another planet. Floating, I soar above a canyon with no prior training, while them cats remaining underhanded. I'm through with the whackness, I'm doing them damage, coming straight out of low cash. But they sitting in a box while I'm outstanding. I'm outlandish, losing patience with these rappers. I'm facing malpractice, smoking niggas cause they all faggots. Don't get offended, just pretend that we're in Britain, then you'll understand it on another planet. Floating, I soar above a canyon with no prior training, while them cats remaining underhanded. I'm through with the whackness, I'm doing them damage, coming straight out of low.
There's just those subtle adjustments that really make this vocal shine. It just gives it some life. The beauty about this SSL plugin, this channel strip, is that you can really push the EQs a little bit harder than you normally would to bring out some more color. So let me do that now. I'm going to push these EQs. I'm going to raise these gains a little bit more.
They sitting in a box while I'm outstanding. I'm outlandish, losing patience with these rappers. I'm facing malpractice, smoking niggas cause they all faggots. Don't get offended, just pretend that we're in Britain, then you'll understand it on another planet. Floating, I soar above a canyon with no prior training, while them cats remaining underhanded. I'm through with the whackness, I'm doing them damage, coming straight out of low cash. But they sitting in a box while I'm outstanding. I'm outlandish.
So now let's copy the same settings over to the G channel. So I'm going to do the same thing. Copy settings. Bring up the G channel I have here and paste them over. And I'm going to toggle them back and forth again.
They sitting in a box while I'm outstanding. I'm outlandish, losing patience with these rappers. I'm facing malpractice, smoking niggas cause they all faggots. Don't get offended, just pretend that we're in Britain, then you'll understand it on another planet. Floating, I soar above a canyon with no prior training, while them cats remaining underhanded. I'm through with the whackness, I'm doing them damage, coming straight out of low cash. But they sitting in a box while I'm outstanding. I'm outlandish, losing patience with these rappers. I'm facing malpractice, smoking niggas cause they all.
And to be honest, I actually really like the way the G channel is sounding on his voice. I'm going to stick with that one on this one. And let's fine tune it a little more and see what we can get.
They sitting in a box while I'm outstanding. I'm outlandish, losing patience with these rappers. I'm facing malpractice, smoking niggas cause they all faggots. Don't get offended, just pretend that we're in Britain, then you'll understand it on another planet. Floating, I soar above a canyon with no prior training, while them cats remaining underhanded. I'm through with the whackness, I'm doing them damage, coming straight out of low cash. But they sitting in a box while I'm outstanding.
And it's such a super dope plugin. Like, I highly recommend this plugin. Not only does it sound great, it has everything you need from filters, your 4-band EQ, dynamic section, gate expander. You even can change it into a de-esser, which is super cool. You get your output fader, your trim knob. You can do everything with this one plugin that you need for vocals, any kind of instruments, and it sounds great. I hope this really helped you guys out, so you understand how to reroute this plugin so you know what the channel out is doing to move your dynamics to after your EQ. The split button is moving your filters before the EQ, what the X3 and divided by 3 stands for, how to switch it to a de-esser with the dynamic sidechain, and what the bypass is actually doing. If you guys like to check out the full mix of this song, the link is in the description below. Subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to check out my How to Use Avid Pro Tools series, and go ahead and check out my other videos in this series, Plugins in Depth. I did one on the 550A EQ and also the 1176 compressor, which are really, really good and something you guys can add to your arsenal. Alright guys, thank you. Take care.